Thank you so much. So we are going to talk about artificial intelligence, blockchain, and the legal transformation and the transformation of the legal sector. And to do that, let me introduce two panelists, Andy Ramos and Jose Maria Palomares.
You're here in
Yes.
the middle?
Sí.
Okay.
Oh, aquí yo en medio. Venga. Well, Andy Ramos, he's a specialized lawyer. He works for a very important law firm, Pérez Llorca, and since 2019, he managed the IT and property and technology department at Pérez Llorca law firm. He also works with very important and big companies, advising them in very different topics such as intellectual property, trademarks, patents, and software. And José María Palomares, he's Deputy Director of Mutualidad de la Abogacía. He works with also very important companies related to Insurtech, right?
Yep.
And he also knows about the legal sector, and he will provide us with a very interesting thoughts about the legal transformation.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
So, well, the first question that I would like to ask you, Andy, is about artificial intelligence. As you know, artificial intelligence is able to do a very complex task as human beings. So, well, the first question that comes to my mind is that is there any risk about the substitution of a lawyer by artificial intelligence, by this kind of devices? What do you think?
I think that, well, first of all, thank you very much for the invitation to the South Summit, for letting us to be here and share our experience. And I think in the short term, even when in the last years we have seen quite hype on AI technologies and how they will replace many different jobs, including lawyers, doctors, etc. I think that we are still very far from this to happen. We are definitely using, but not using yet. We are trying and testing different AI tools, but they are not still very sophisticated. They can do some tasks, some monotonous tasks very well, but not provide like a real complex thinking like a human being. So probably in 50 years, 40 years, I don't know, but in the short term, I think that lawyers unfortunately, will be necessary.
Right. So is there a real application in law firms such as yours?
Yeah, we have tried different tools, including Watson, which is one of the most important by IBM, and as I said, it's we tend to talk about AI as a machine that can do anything, but then when you take it to your computer and you try it, you realize that it has to be shaped for a specific task. So, and for most of the tasks, at least in our law firm, the kind of job that we do, it's a little bit more complex, more sophisticated. It's not the technology is not there yet,
yeah.
But we are definitely using them for e-discovery when we have to analyze 3,000 emails and to process data. Beforehand, we use tons of trainees. Now we use this kind of system, but they have to be trained for a specific purpose. And this is hard. It takes time. Most of the time, our clients don't have that time. So we use it and we have it. And in my team, we have specific tools, but we are still in a very, very, very early stage.
Yeah, because, well, as you probably know, the legal environment is very complex. The regulation, well, it's hard to understand. So at the end of the day, you need a lawyer to interpret the regulation. So maybe the tools are focused on managing all kind of data, big data, right?
Yeah, I think that in the legal sector, the main We are very old-fashioned. We are still, our main technology are the email and a word processor. So we are not the most techies in the room, but we believe that the innovation, more than on AI, because the technology is not there yet, as I said, it's more on the process, and we have to innovate in the process and using process and management tools to improve our efficiency, the accuracy of our job, and the result, more than on a machine that you just push the button and the job is
do
done.
everything.
Yeah.
That could be very difficult. And Jose Maria, let me ask you about what do you think about the main legal risk of the sector? I mean, the main challenges. What do you think are the main challenges for lawyers and special young lawyers that are going to start in the legal environment?
Well, I would say that there are plenty of challenges facing up the legal sector. If I have to highlight some of them, I would probably start by the entrepreneurship. I would say that there's a lack of entrepreneurship betting on the legal sector, as we can see every day, every single day in the Spanish market. Just to put an example, the young lawyers prefers to work in big firms, as Andy represents today, or even in big multinational companies. There's a lack of entrepreneurship skills development in the higher education ecosystem, and probably the young lawyers are not focused on, putting in place their own projects. Not only as leading a new law firm, but also in projects around the legal tech. So I would say this is probably one of the most important challenges that the profession is facing up. Second one would say probably a digital transformation, but not only from a technological point of view, but from a cultural mindset point of view. I think that the legal profession is very focused on, legal aspects, obviously, procedures, processes, and so on. But sometimes they need to put the customer in the center of their own decisions. And trying to achieve every single expectations in terms of customer experience expectations. So I would mix digital transformation and also customer experience. Another very important challenge, and I'm coming here directly from the Open de Arbitraje, the arbitration Open, which is an international summit of people dedicated to the arbitration. Over there, they have been talking about the new ways of facing the litigation processes as a way to facilitate the process to the citizens and to their customers. So I think that we have plenty of room in this specific area, in this direction, to build up new solutions around the litigation. And I think there are many other challenges, but just to summarize, the three of them would be a good.
I would like to dig deeper in the first one about the entrepreneurship because, I tend to think that that kind of issue is changing, mainly in the last years. For instance, in my case, I work for a new startup, and I studied at IE Law School, and they are doing a great effort in order to transmit the entrepreneurship interest in the students and to allow them to build or to set up a new very important companies and big projects. Do you think it's a reality? Do you think it has been a change in the last years? Although I mean, we have to do a great effort, but I'm optimist, and I tend to think that it's changing a little bit.
Well, I would say that it's an obvious trend, but maybe the problem is the speed of the implementation of this trend. If we have a look to some top-tier business schools or even universities in Spain, they are doing this effort you have mentioned. But if we go to the rest of the higher education ecosystem, you will see that we are still doing the same things that we used to do a couple of decades ago. So this entrepreneurship spirit that you obviously have because you are involved in a startup is not at the moment very present in the new generation of lawyers. And that's why there are plenty of companies that are trying to push this kind of mindset. That's what we are doing in Mutualidad de la Abogacía.
Yeah.
In fact, we have a very specific program to boost the entrepreneurship spirit among the lawyers and creating an ecosystem where the new lawyers can develop new solutions for the citizens and for the customers. There are other organizations like IE, by the way, it's here behind you, that are trying to do the same thing. So there are some players, very relevant players in our country that are trying to boost this trend.
Very interesting.
But at the moment, it's only a trend. Unfortunately.
I know it.
And actually, I think that the real innovation in the legal sector will not, because some people are anticipating the end of law firms, that the law firms, traditional law firms will disappear. I disagree. We will transform. We have the capacity of transformation and hiring new or buying new technological tools. But I think that youngsters, they have to, when leaving the university, they should think outside the box, which is an expression that we hear in this kind of forms very often, and think about not establishing a law firm, but other kind of legal services. You were mentioning arbitration in the States. Modria, it's a legal tech that it's providing arbitration services or arbitration-like services for claims, and right now it's the service or the court or the space that solves more claims in the States, and they have the small claims, obviously, in platforms like eBay, and very small claims, but traditionally these kind of claims would go to courts of justice, and now they are legal tests, they are companies based on technology and legal regulation that are solving problems. And the same thing with LegalZoom, with Rocket Lawyer, and many other great services that are competing somehow with law firms because they are providing the same services that lawyers usually provide 20 years ago, and in a very more convenient, cost-effective, and faster. And for most cases, they are really good. If you are gonna sell your company for 20 million, obviously you have to go to a law firm. But if you need a rental agreement, you have a trademark license or things like that, they can provide a quite good service. Lawyers can be behind that, obviously.
It's a good way to democratize the access to the legal services. And there's an additional good news, at least from my point of view, and that is that, the millennials generation is very focused on the social innovation. And, departing from the social innovation mindset, you can find many solutions to solve many problems which are very closely related to the legal services that must be provided to the citizens. And we can see plenty of solutions, plenty of small startups that can, have their own space on this market. So, but we have to try harder. We have to push even more these kind of solutions and this kind of young entrepreneurs. Coming, for example, to places like the summit.
Well, before the end, I would like to bring to the table another question about, the education of the lawyers. For instance, as you know, blockchain is a very complex technology. Smart contracts is a part of it. And as we know, smart is not smart, and it's not a contract, it's a coding. So Do you think that, well, as part of the sector is suggesting, do you think it's mandatory for lawyers to study an engineer or just do a course or a master, focus on the technology? What do you think?
Well, I think that we don't have to be coders. I think that we have to understand technology. I studied in the States, and all my classmates, I was studying IP, intellectual property, and all my classmates, they were engineers. They did a bachelor degree in engineers, in physics, in chemistry, and I pretty much was the only one without a technical background. I don't think that probably we are quite far from this fantastic scenario, but I don't think that lawyers, we have to know how to code, but I think that we must understand technology, and we must be open-minded to understand technology, because when we have a software case and we have to bring it to court and we have to be translator between engineers and the judge, who will, at the end of the day, will rule in your favor or against you. We have to not only apply the law, but we have to explain and persuade the court, and we have to translate the technological. We were mentioning that a couple of years ago, I have to take to a court a code generator, and the judge said, "Why don't you finish?" He said, "Yeah, it's a code that generates code." The judge was freaking out. What are you talking about? I don't need to know how to code, but I need to understand how this code generator works in order to translate that information from engineer language to judge language.
Yeah. That's what I was trying to refer in my previous speech when I was talking about the digital transformation. I'm not talking about the technology, but about the digital skills, the cultural mindset. So every single thing you have been sharing with us, it is part of this digital mindset that the lawyer, of course, the young lawyer, has to bring to the profession. So obviously, you need to know about your specialization field. I mean, if you are going to practice the law around big technology companies, you have to know very much about this sector. But at the very basic space, you have to come back to the basics. And these basics are having the digital skills that allows you to, for example, explain to a judge what you mean.
How it works, right?
Yeah, for example.
Yeah, and well, it comes to my mind another question about the ethics, the ethical mindset, because well, as you know, when we talk about artificial intelligence, the ethics part is very important, and well, because it's the beginning of the regulation right now. Do you think it's well? Do you agree with me? Do you think it's an important part? For instance, to regulate the artificial intelligence and for lawyers to know about it? What do you think?
Yeah, absolutely. From our point of view, from the Mutualidad de la Abogacía point of view, ethics on the appliance of the artificial intelligence is probably the most important topic we have to take care. There are plenty of regulation. We know that from the European Commission are planning to implement new regulations around this. But for us, as a private company who is trying to serve our clients, it is mandatory to guarantee that our ethical principles, our ethical values are put into place when we deliver a service or even a relationship with our customers. For that reason, a couple of years ago, we decided to create something which is quite innovative in Spain and also in Europe. We created a committee as part of our board of directors corporate governance body, a committee which is focused on supervising and monitoring the appliance of the ethics and the ethical values and principles on every single thing we do on artificial intelligence. We know we are not the leaders on artificial intelligence, because we are not a tech company, obviously, but we are trying to be the leaders on the application of these ethical values in every single process and in every single relationship with our customers, to protect them and to guarantee that the values that has been part of Mutualidad La Abogacía for more than 70 years are still being solid and robust.
Well, I think we're on time, or?
I'm sorry, yes.
Okay.
We're out of time. We have to move on, actually, for
Thank you so
lunch.
much.
So, thank you very much, Gonzalo. Thank you very much to the panel.